The city was alive with strange lights, yet it felt empty. The towers of glass and steel reached high into the night sky, glowing in cold colors. People walked quickly on the streets, their faces covered, their eyes fixed forward. Nobody stopped. Nobody cared, and in the middle of this great alien city there was a woman. Her skin was pale, her clothes torn, her body weak. She walked slowly, almost falling with each step. Her stomach hurt from hunger, her throat dry, her lips broken. She was starving. She whispered for help. Her voice was soft, almost lost in the noise of the street. Food, please, food. But nobody looked at her. Alien merchants shouted about their products. Children ran, chasing glowing toys. Workers rushed to their jobs. And the woman stood there, invisible, forgotten. Her eyes, large and dark, searched for kindness, but she found only coldness. She stretched out her hand, trembling, hoping someone might drop a coin or a piece of bread, but every hand ignored her. Every step walked past her. She tried again. Please, just a little food. Her voice broke, tears rising. She looked at one man, strong and well-dressed. She bowed before him, desperate. She even offered the only thing she had left, herself, her dignity, her body. I will give you anything. Please, I am so hungry. The man turned away without a word. His eyes did not even meet hers. Others saw, but they did not care. They walked around her as if she was not alive. The woman's knees shook. She fell to the ground, weak, trembling. The dirt touched her face. Her hands scraped against the cold stone. She wanted to scream, but no voice came out. The world around her continued fast and loud while she lay in silence. Her mind began to drift. She thought of her past, when she was not like this. Once, she was loved. Once, she had a family, a home, a place where she belonged, but all of that was gone now, taken, stolen, betrayed. She was nothing now, just a starving shadow. The lights of the city blurred in her eyes. Her heart beat slowly. She wondered if this was the end. Would she die here? Alone? Hungry? Unwanted? But then, something changed. A figure entered the marketplace. He was different. His steps were steady, his eyes sharp. His clothes did not belong to this city, he was not one of them. He was a traveler, an outsider. His skin was not like theirs. His walk was calm but full of purpose. The alien woman, half-conscious, did not see him at first. But he saw her. Out of the thousands of faces, he noticed the one that was fading. He saw her weak body, her trembling hands, her eyes full of despair, and, for a moment, he stopped walking. The man stood still, watching as the crowd ignored her. He saw how she was treated, like she was less than nothing. He felt something rise inside him. Anger, sadness. A question. Why does no one help her? The woman lifted her head slowly, her eyes half closed. She thought it was another passerby, another face that would ignore her. She wanted to look away. But this time, the eyes looking back at her were not empty. The man's gaze was human. It was alive. It was filled with something no one else in this city seemed to have. Compassion. The air grew tense. The marketplace noise seemed distant now, as if time itself slowed down. The woman felt her heart beat faster. For the first time in many days she saw a chance that maybe, just maybe, she was not completely invisible. But she did not trust it yet. She had been fooled before. She had been offered help, only to be hurt. So she lowered her head again, ashamed, ready for rejection. Yet the man did not move away. His steps came closer. The sound of his boots against the stone floor echoed louder and louder. The woman froze. Her hands pressed the ground. Her breathing became sharp. Was he coming to mock her? To push her aside? Or to help? The suspense grew. The people around them did not notice. They were blind to the moment that was about to change everything. The man stopped in front of her. A shadow covered her broken figure. She slowly raised her eyes. He looked down at her with calmness, with strength, with something she had not seen for so long. Kindness. And in that second, destiny began to turn. The alien woman had been ignored by everyone. She had offered her body for food, but no one cared. She was dying in silence, but now someone had noticed, and he was not just anyone, he was human. The story was about to begin. The marketplace was loud with voices, colors, and lights, but for him, everything felt quiet. He had walked through cities before, on planets far away, but this place was different. The air smelled of metal and dust. The buildings shined with hollow beauty, and the people's faces carried the same coldness. He was a traveler, an outsider. His name was not known here, and his face was unlike theirs. His skin marked him as human, and in this alien city, that alone made him stand out. Yet he walked with calm steps, unafraid, as though he belonged nowhere, and everywhere. The people around him did not stare for long. They were used to travelers, used to ignoring those who were not their own, and he, in turn, ignored their stares. But his eyes were always moving, studying, learning, searching. And then he saw her. At first, she was just another shape on the ground, another shadow among the noise. But something pulled his gaze back again. His eyes narrowed, his breath slowed. He saw the truth, the broken body of a woman, her trembling hands, her lips whispering silent prayers for food. The man stopped walking. The crowd moved past him, irritated, but he did not care. He stood still in the middle of the market, his eyes fixed on her. She looked weak, but it was more than hunger. There was pain in her face, deep pain, as if she had lost more than meals. She had lost hope. She had lost trust in the world. The human felt his chest tighten. He had seen hunger before. He had seen suffering before. But this was worse because it was not just suffering. It was neglect. The people around her did not care. They passed by without even turning their heads. His mind whispered a question. Why does no one help her? He stepped closer. The woman raised her eyes slowly. At first she thought it was another shadow, another stranger who would mock her or step over her. She braced herself, lowering her gaze in shame. But something made her look again. And what she saw was different. The man's eyes were not cold. They were not filled with disgust. They were steady, strong, and filled with something she had forgotten existed: mercy. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no words came. The human reached into his small pack. From it he took a piece of food, simple bread, nothing special. He bent down and held it before her. For a moment she did not move. Her eyes widened, her hands shaking. Was this real? Was this a trick? She had offered her body, her dignity, her everything, and no one had cared. Why would this stranger care now? Her body trembled as her hand slowly reached for the food. Her fingers brushed against his. They were warm, alive, steady. She pulled back, afraid, but he did not move his hand away. He waited, patient, silent. Finally, her hunger broke her fear. She took the bread, her hands clumsy, her breath fast. She ate in small bites at first, like an animal that feared the food might be taken away. Tears filled her eyes as the taste filled her mouth. The man watched quietly. He did not speak. He did not smile. He simply stood there, letting her eat, letting her remember what it felt like to be noticed. The crowd moved around them uninterested. But for her, the world had changed. For the first time in so long, someone had cared. When she finished, she looked at him, her eyes wet, her voice shaking. Why? It was all she could ask. He did not answer at first. He just looked at her, studying her face, her eyes, her fear. Then, in a calm, steady voice, he said, "Because you are alive. That is reason enough." The woman's heart shook at his words. No one had spoken to her like that. No one had seen her as more than dirt on the street. But this man, this human, he spoke as if her life still mattered. But she also knew something he did not. Kindness was dangerous here. Anyone who touched her, anyone who helped her invited trouble. She lowered her eyes again, whispering, "You should go. If they see you with me, you will regret it." The man tilted his head slightly, curious. Why? Her hands shook. She wanted to tell him to explain, but fear closed her throat. Still, her eyes darted around the street nervously. Hunters, guards, shadows that waited. The man noticed her fear. He did not press her, but he understood. Something was wrong, something deeper than hunger. He crouched lower so his eyes met hers. "I am not afraid," he said simply. Her lips trembled. She wanted to believe him, but she had seen too much betrayal. Yet still, a part of her, small, fragile, wanted to trust. The silence between them was heavy, yet powerful. The alien city roared around them, but in that moment it was as if they were the only two souls in the world. And she felt something strange. Hope. She did not know who he was, or why he cared. But she knew one thing. His presence was different. His kindness was dangerous, yes. But it was also the first light she had seen in years of darkness. And as she sat there, weak and trembling, she realized a truth she had forgotten. Sometimes, one stranger can change everything. The human man had given her bread, but what he truly gave her was the beginning of a new story. And he had no idea that by stopping for her, he had stepped into a destiny far larger than himself. The night was falling over the city. The tall towers glowed brighter, their lights replacing the fading sun. The streets were still crowded, filled with voices, smells, and movement. Yet, in one small corner of that noisy marketplace, a quiet moment unfolded between a starving alien woman and a human stranger. She sat on the ground, weak, her eyes red from tears. In her trembling hands, she still held the crumbs of bread he had given her. For most people it was nothing, just a piece of dry food. But for her, it was life. The man stood near her, silent, calm. He did not rush away like the others. He did not look at her with disgust or fear. Instead, he simply stayed, as if her presence alone deserved his time. The woman looked up at him again, her voice uncertain. Why do you stay?" The human lowered himself and sat on the cold stone near her. His voice was steady, simple. "Because no one should be left alone." She stared at him, confused. His words were strange, almost impossible. Alone was all she had known. Alone was her life now. Her hands shook as she held the bread tighter. She whispered, "You don't understand. They all ignore me for a reason. They know what I am." The man tilted his head, curious, but he did not ask further. He only said, "I see a woman who is starving. That is what I understand." Her lips trembled. The kindness in his words felt dangerous. She wanted to believe, but she was afraid. She had trusted before, and trust had destroyed her. She turned her face away, ashamed. "You should go. Helping me will bring you nothing but trouble." The human's eyes softened. He did not move. He did not argue. He just said quietly, "Maybe trouble is worth it." Her chest tightened. His answer made no sense. People avoided her like a plague. People looked at her as if she were cursed. Yet this stranger, he did not fear her at all. For a moment, silence hung between them. The sounds of the market faded into the background. She felt something stir inside her, something she thought was gone forever. Hope. Slowly she spoke again, her voice fragile. "Once, I had everything. A family. A home. I was not like this. But then..." Her voice cracked. She could not finish. The man did not push her to continue. He only nodded, showing he was listening. Her eyes filled with tears. "Now I am nothing, not even worth a piece of bread. I thought, if I offered my body, someone might care. But no one did. Until you." The human's gaze grew firm. "You are wrong," he said softly. "You are worth more than that. You are alive. That is enough." Her breath caught. The words struck her like a force she could not explain. Nobody had spoken to her like that. Nobody had seen her as more than dirt on the ground. For the first time in so long, she felt the weight of another's presence not as a threat, but as a shield. Her hands shook harder. She wanted to trust him. But fear whispered inside her. What if he leaves? What if he is like the rest? The man, as if reading her thoughts, reached into his pack again. He pulled out a small flask of water and held it to her. "Drink," he said simply. She hesitated, staring at it. His eyes were steady. No trick, no demand, just an offer. Slowly, she took the flask, lifted it to her lips, and drank. The cool water slid down her dry throat. Her body shook as relief washed through her. She lowered the flask, tears falling freely now. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. The human looked at her and answered, "Because I can." The simplicity of the answer broke her. A sob escaped, her lips quiet and painful. She covered her face with her hands. For the first time in years, she was crying not from despair, but from the shock of kindness. The man did not touch her, did not interrupt. He simply sat close, letting her release the pain she had carried for so long. When her sobs softened, she lowered her hands and looked at him again. Her voice was weak, but there was something new in it. A spark. "I don't even know your name." He gave a faint smile. "Names can wait. Right now you need strength." Her lips curved slightly, the faintest shadow of a smile. It felt strange, foreign. She had forgotten what it meant to smile. For the first time, she did not feel invisible. For the first time, someone had seen her not as a burden, not as a curse, but as a person. The connection was small, fragile, but real, and deep inside she felt a dangerous truth. This stranger had already stepped into her life. And once he had entered, there was no going back. She whispered, "If you stay with me, your life will change. You don't know what follows me." The man looked at her unshaken, then let it follow. "I am not leaving you here." Her heart stopped for a beat. His words were a promise, one she had never expected to hear. And in that moment, under the cold lights of the alien city, a bond was born. A bond between a starving woman who had lost everything and a human stranger who refused to walk away. Neither of them knew yet. But this fragile connection would soon set fire to a storm that could consume them both. And destiny had only just begun to write their story. The night grew colder. The stars above the alien city glimmered faintly through the heavy clouds of smoke and dust. The marketplace was beginning to quiet, merchants closing their stalls, voices fading into the distance. The human man and the starving alien woman sat in the shadow of a broken wall, hidden from the eyes of the crowd. She had eaten, she had drunk water, and for the first time in years her body felt a little strength return. Yet her mind was not calm. She looked at the man sitting beside her, his presence steady and strange. He had given her food without asking for anything. He had stayed when everyone else turned away, and now she felt a heavy weight pressing on her chest, the weight of truth. For a long time she stayed silent, her eyes fixed on the ground. But inside, a storm was growing. She knew she could not keep it hidden forever. If this man chose to stay near her, he deserved to know. But if she told him, he might leave. He might hate her. He might even fear her. Her hands clenched in her lap. She whispered almost to herself, "You should not be here. You should not have helped me." The man turned his head slightly, his calm eyes resting on her. And why not? Her breath shook. She raised her eyes to meet his, and for a second she saw no judgment there, only patience. That gave her courage. "Because I am not what you think," she said softly. "I am not just a starving woman. I am hunted." The human did not flinch. His voice was even. "Hunted?" By who? She looked away, her eyes scanning the street as if shadows might be listening. Her voice trembled. By my own people. The words hung in the air like a curse. She swallowed hard, tears rising in her eyes. Once, I was part of them. Not like this. I had a family, a home of silver walls, servants, and a name that carried weight. But power is poison. My family betrayed me. They accused me of crimes I never committed. They stripped me of everything, and when I escaped, they swore I would not live. The man's brow furrowed slightly, but he did not interrupt. She continued, her voice breaking. I was not just punished. I was erased. My face was marked. My name was blackened. Anyone who helps me is seen as an enemy. That is why they all walk past me. Not because they cannot see me, but because they are afraid. Afraid of what follows me. Her chest rose and fell as if every word cut deeper inside. The man's eyes grew sharper. And what follows you? Her hands shook. She looked into the distance, her voice a whisper. Hunters, guards, men who serve the house that betrayed me. They never stop searching. If they find me, I die. And if you are with me... She stopped, unable to say more. The human leaned forward slightly, his voice low. If I am with you, then they will have to face me too. Her eyes widened, startled. You don't understand. They are not like you. They are trained killers. They have weapons, machines, eyes everywhere. If they see you, they will destroy you without mercy. No one stands against them, no one survives. The man's lips curved into the faintest trace of a smile. Then it seems they have never faced a human before. Her breath caught. She could not understand him. Fear told her to push him away, to beg him to leave before it was too late. Yet something inside her, something buried deep, wanted him to stay. She shook her head, her voice breaking. Why? Why risk your life for me? You don't know me. You don't know my past. You don't know the blood that follows me. The human looked at her, his gaze calm but firm. I don't need to know your past, I see your present. And in your present you are starving, hunted, and alone. That is enough. Her throat tightened. Tears blurred her vision. She had lived in darkness for so long that kindness felt like pain. It pierced her like a blade, sharp and unbearable. The silence between them grew heavy. And then, from the shadows of the street, a sound echoed. The crunch of boots on stone, slow, heavy, intentional. The woman froze. Her blood turned cold. Her eyes darted to the corner of the street. Figures appeared, dark-armored, tall, with glowing weapons at their sides. Their helmets shined under the pale lights. They moved like predators, scanning every shadow. Her body trembled. She whispered with terror. They are here. The man's jaw tightened, his eyes hardened, his hand slowly reaching for the weapon at his side. The woman looked at him, panic rising. You don't understand. If they see me with you... He interrupted, his voice calm and sharp. Then let them see. Her heart stopped. The hunters drew closer, their voices echoing in a language filled with hatred. She pressed her back against the wall, her breath shallow. Fear consumed her. She was ready to run, ready to vanish. But the human... He stayed, unmoving, unafraid. And in that moment, she realized something terrifying. This man was not just kind, he was dangerous. And for the first time since her fall, she felt a flicker of something more powerful than fear. She felt the possibility of survival. The night air grew colder as the hunters entered the street. There, boots struck the stone ground in perfect rhythm, each step sharp, heavy, and merciless. The glow of their helmets cut through the shadows. Their weapons, sleek and cruel, hummed with a faint light, ready to kill. The alien woman pressed her back, against the wall, her entire body trembling. She knew these figures too well. She had seen them before, in her nightmares, in her memories. and in the blood of those who once tried to shield her. Wherever they walked, silence followed. Wherever they stopped, death began. Her breath came, in quick bursts. Her voice, barely a whisper, trembled in fear. "They are here for me. They will not stop until I am dead." The human man stood beside her. His posture was straight, his eyes locked on the hunters as they scanned the street. He was silent, but not frozen. His hand rested near his side, close to the weapon he carried. Unlike her, he did not shake. Unlike her, he did not bow to fear. The woman tugged at his arm desperately. "Please, you don't understand. You must go. If they see you with me, they will destroy you too." He looked at her briefly. His voice was steady, unshaken. "Then they will try." Her heart stopped. She did not know if his words were courage or madness. The hunters spread out, their voices sharp in their alien tongue. They questioned the merchants. They scanned the shadows, their glowing eyes searching for one face, the face that no longer had a name. The woman's pulse thundered in her ears. She lowered her head, trying to make herself smaller, invisible. But she knew invisibility would not last. They would find her. They always found her. The human shifted slightly, his body now between her and the street. He leaned close, his words low and calm. "Stay behind me." She wanted to protest, to scream that he was walking into death. But when she looked at his eyes, she saw no doubt, only resolve. The hunters drew nearer. One of them stopped, his helmet turning sharply toward their corner. A long pause followed, heavy with tension. Then with mechanical precision he raised his weapon and pointed it straight into the shadows. The woman gasped, her body frozen. The hunter's voice was cold, commanding, "Step forward." The man did not move. The hunter repeated, louder, "Step forward." His weapon glowed brighter, a charge building. Still, the man stood calm. The woman clutched his sleeve, whispering, "Please, they will kill you." Finally, the human took a single step into the open. His shadow stretched under the pale lights. The hunters froze, their helmets tilting slightly. A human was not what they expected. One of them barked something in their language. Another lowered his weapon slightly. Confusion rippled through their ranks. Humans were rare here, almost unseen. But rarity would not save him. The leader of the hunter stepped forward, his voice sharp. "You, outsider, you walk with someone who is marked. Give her to us and you may live." The woman's heart sank. Her body collapsed against the wall. This was the moment she feared, the moment when even kindness would end, traded for survival. She could not blame him. No one would risk their life for her. Not again. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Don't fight them. Just leave me. Please." But the human did not turn to her. He did not step aside. He raised his chin, his eyes fixed on the hunters. His voice cut through the silence, low but firm. "No." The hunters stiffened. Their leader's weapon rose, higher, glowing with lethal light. "Then you die with her." The man's hand moved slowly, drawing his own weapon from his side. It was simple compared to their advanced machines, but in his grip it looked alive. The woman's breath caught. She whispered, terrified, "You cannot fight them. There are too many." The man did not look at her. His eyes never left the hunters. His voice was calm, almost cold. "Then there are enough." The hunters exchanged signals, their formation tightening. Their leader barked a command, and two of them stepped forward, weapons raised. The woman buried her face in her hands, her heart breaking. She could not watch another person die for her. But the human did not wait. In one fluid motion he raised his weapon and fired. The blast cut through the night, striking the first hunter square in the chest. Sparks burst, and the armored figure collapsed to the ground. The street exploded into chaos, shouts, weapons charging, lights flashing. The hunters opened fire, their beams slicing through the dark. The man moved fast, rolling to cover, returning shots with deadly precision. The woman screamed, her body pressed against the wall. But through her fear she saw something unbelievable. The human did not falter. His movements were sharp, his aim true. Where the hunters were machines of war, he was a storm, fast, relentless, alive. One by one, his shots found their marks. The hunters fell, their glowing eyes dimming, their weapons clattering on the stone. The leader roared with fury, charging forward with a blade of burning light. The human met him head-on. Their weapons clashed, sparks flying, the sound echoing through the empty street. The woman's eyes widened as she watched. The man did not back down. He fought with a strength and fire she had never seen before. Every strike, every movement was filled with purpose. And then, with a final strike, the leader fell. Silence followed. The street was filled with smoke, sparks, and the broken remains of the hunters. The man stood breathing heavily, his weapon still ready, his eyes scanning for more. But none came. The woman stared at him, her body shaking. She whispered in disbelief, You stood against them. You lived." The human turned to her, his face calm despite the battle. He offered his hand. "I told you, I am not leaving you." Her heart raced, tears falling freely. For the first time, the fear that ruled her life cracked, and in its place, something else was born. Not safety, not yet, but possibility. The street was filled with smoke and silence. The hunters lay scattered across the ground, their glowing eyes dim, their weapons sparking with dying energy. The alien city, for a moment, seemed frozen. The human stood among the broken machines of war, breathing hard, his weapon still warm, in his hand. The woman pressed against the wall, her eyes wide, her body trembling. She had never seen anything like it. Hunters were feared by all, merciless, unbreakable, unstoppable. Yet this man had faced them, and he was still standing. She whispered, her voice shaking, How did you survive?" He turned to her, his expression calm, though his chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. "We cannot stay here. More will come." She nodded quickly, fear returning to her bones. She pushed herself up, though her legs were weak, and followed him as he moved into the shadows of the city. The two slipped through narrow alleys, their footsteps fast, but careful. The air was heavy with smoke and the scent of metal. The cries of the marketplace were gone. Now, only silence followed them. Every corner felt dangerous. Every sound of boots, every flicker of light in the distance, made her heart race. She had lived her life running, but tonight was different. Tonight she was not alone. The human led with steady steps, his eyes sharp, always watching, always ready. She followed, her hands clutching the fabric of her torn cloak, her breath sharp in the cold night. Finally, after many turns and hidden paths, they stopped inside a crumbling building at the edge of the city. Its walls were cracked, its roof broken, but it offered shadows deep enough to hide. The woman collapsed against the wall, her body weak, her heart still pounding. She closed her eyes, trying to calm the storm inside her. The man stood near the broken doorway, scanning the streets outside. His voice was low but firm. "They will search the city. They will not stop until they find you." She lowered her head, shame filling her chest. "It is always the same. No matter where I go, they follow. No matter who helps me, they suffer." He turned to her, his eyes steady. "Then tell me, why? Why do they hunt you?" Her breath caught. She had tried to hide it, tried to bury the truth, but now she could no longer keep it locked inside. He had already risked his life for her. He deserved to know what she truly carried. Her hands trembled as she pulled the edges of her cloak tighter. Her eyes shined with tears as she whispered, "Because of what I know." The man narrowed his eyes but said nothing, waiting for her to continue. She looked down at her hands, her voice soft, broken. "Before they betrayed me, before I was erased, I was not just another woman. I belonged to one of the great houses, the rulers of this world. I was their daughter, their heir." The man's eyes sharpened slightly, but he did not interrupt. Her voice grew heavier. "I discovered their secret, a weapon, hidden, forbidden, powerful enough to burn whole worlds. It was not meant to exist. I tried to stop them. I tried to speak the truth. But they silenced me. They called me a traitor. They stripped me of everything. And when I ran, they sent the hunters. Tears rolled down her face now. I carry the knowledge of where it is, how it works. That is why I am cursed. That is why no one helps me. Because to shelter me is to invite death. The silence after her words was heavy. The human stood still, his eyes fixed on her. Finally, he spoke, his tone calm but sharp. And if this weapon exists, what happens if they use it? Her voice trembled. Then this city, this world, maybe even the stars themselves, will burn. The human's jaw tightened. He turned his gaze to the broken window, staring at the glowing towers of the alien city in the distance. For a moment he said nothing. The woman lowered her head, her tears falling. She whispered, "Now you know. This is my truth. I am not just starving. I am dangerous. And if you stay with me, you will be hunted until your death." She expected him to leave, to turn his back like everyone else had. Her chest ached as she braced herself for his rejection, but instead the human turned back to her. His voice was quiet, but firm. "Then you cannot run alone anymore. If this secret is true, if this weapon is real, someone must stand with you, and I will." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "You don't understand. This fight is not yours. Why would you risk your life for me?" He stepped closer, his shadow falling over her. His words were steady, unshaken, because sometimes it takes an outsider to see what others cannot. They see a curse, I see the truth, and the truth cannot be left to die in the streets. Her breath caught. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him to go, but his eyes silenced her. In them she saw no fear, no doubt, only resolve. For the first time in years she felt the weight of her secret lessen. For the first time someone was willing to carry it with her. But even as that fragile hope grew, the sound of distant horns echoed through the night. The hunters were still coming. The city was awake now, and their shadows stretched far. The woman clutched her cloak tighter, her voice trembling. "They will not stop, not until I am dead." The human checked his weapon, his eyes sharp. "Then we do not wait for them. We move." She looked at him, her heart pounding. Fear and hope battled inside her. Together they stepped into the darkness once more. Two figures, one hunted, one human, walking toward a future neither of them could see. And behind them the city of cold towers burned brighter, unaware that its fate now rested in the hands of a starving alien woman, and the man who chose to stand beside her. The city stretched out behind them like a cage of glass and steel. Its towers glowed with cold light, unaware that its fate hung by a thread. The human and the alien woman moved quickly through the empty outskirts, their shadows long under the pale moons. But the sound of pursuit followed them. Horns, shouts, and the metallic rhythm of hunter boots shook the night. The enemy was not finished. They had lost once, but they would not lose again. The woman's heart pounded as she stumbled through the ruins. Her legs were weak, her breath heavy. She carried not only her body but also the secret that cursed her, the knowledge of the weapon, the reason she was hunted. The man walked beside her, steady and unshaken. His weapon was ready, his eyes sharp, scanning the shadows for movement. He knew they could not run forever. Finally they reached the edge of the old city, a place of broken machines and silent ruins. The woman collapsed against a fallen wall, her chest rising and falling rapidly. We cannot escape them. They will find us. They always do." The man crouched beside her, his voice calm. "Then we stop running." She looked at him in shock. "Stop. You don't understand. They will kill you. They will kill us both." His gaze was firm. "Then we fight. Not to survive, but to end this." Her breath caught. "End this? How?" He turned his eyes to the broken horizon, where the faint glow of the hunters' torches already approached. His voice was steady. By facing them, by showing them that fear cannot rule forever. The woman's hands shook. She had lived her whole life running, hiding, begging. She had never believed in standing. But this man, this outsider, this human, spoke as if courage was as natural as breathing. Her lips trembled. If we fight, we die. He looked at her, his voice quiet. If we do nothing, the galaxy dies. Her heart stopped at his words. She remembered the weapon, the forbidden knowledge she carried. She saw again the fire that could consume worlds, and for the first time she understood. He was not fighting only for her. He was fighting for something larger. For everyone. The sound of the hunters grew louder. The ground trembled beneath their march. The woman's fear battled against something new inside her. Hope. The man stood, tall, lifting his weapon. Stay behind me. But she shook her head. Her voice, though weak, carried a spark. No. I have run enough. If I die tonight, I will not die begging. I will die standing. The man glanced at her, a faint trace of respect in his eyes. He nodded once. The night exploded with light. The hunters arrived, their armor glowing, their weapons raised. The leader stepped forward, his voice sharp. The marked woman, the traitor, hand her over and we will grant you a quick death, human. The man stepped forward, his shadow long under the moons. His voice cut through the silence. You will not touch her. The hunters raised their weapons. The air hummed with deadly energy. The first shot tore through the darkness. The battle began. The man moved like a storm, his weapon flashing, his strikes precise. The woman, though weak, found herself grabbing a fallen blade, standing beside him. Fear no longer chained her hands. Each swing of her blade was clumsy, desperate, but real. The hunters surrounded them, their numbers overwhelming. Yet the human did not falter. Every strike, every step was filled with fire. The woman, seeing his courage, felt her own grow stronger. For the first time, she was not prey. She was a fighter. The battle raged through the ruins. Sparks lit the night. Cries echoed against broken walls. One by one, hunters fell, their weapons scattering into the dust. But the leader remained. Taller, stronger, armed with a burning blade. He advanced, his voice like thunder. You cannot stop us. She is cursed. And you, human, will die for nothing. The man stepped forward, his eyes sharp. Then come and try. Their blades clashed, light against steel, sparks flying in every direction. The sound shook the ruins. The woman watched, her heart pounding. She saw the human's strength, but also his limits. He was only one man. The leader was a monster of war. Her mind screamed, do something. She closed her eyes, remembering the secret she carried. The weapon, the forbidden knowledge. If she used it, even a piece of it, she might change the battle. Or she might destroy everything. Her choice was a knife in her chest. Run and survive a little longer, or risk everything now. Her eyes snapped, open. With trembling hands, she reached for a fallen hunter's device. She pressed its controls, whispering words she once swore she would never speak again. The ground shook. A pulse of energy erupted, blinding light tearing through the night. The leader stumbled, his armor cracking under the wave. The human seized the moment. With one final strike, he drove his blade deep into the hunter's chest. Silence. The leader fell. The battlefield was still. Smoke rose, bodies lay scattered, weapons dead. The woman collapsed to her knees, her body shaking, tears streaming down her face. The human turned to her, his weapon lowering. His voice was calm, but filled with weight. What did you do? She whispered, broken. I used the knowledge, just a piece, enough to save us. But now, they will know. They will never stop hunting. They will come with more. The man crouched before her, his hand resting lightly on her shoulder. His eyes were steady, unafraid. Then let them come, because now You are not alone. Her tears fell harder, but this time they carried more than fear. They carried hope. The ruins lay silent, the stars above cold and endless. But in that silence, something new was born. An alliance, fragile yet powerful. A starving alien woman, once abandoned, now stood with a human who refused to leave her behind. Together they had survived the night, and together they would face the war to come.